Welcome to the fourth installment of Anycast. This is my podcast where we talk about just about anything that's going on right now. And in light of Mother's Day, I want to pay tribute to all the moms out there, especially those who are on the front line, as well as any healthcare workers and nurses and doctors who are putting their lives on the line to help others who are dealing with not just the coronavirus, but all kinds of illnesses, and making sure that we as humans are able to enjoy each day as best as we possibly can, even if it's through uncertain times. So I hope you all get to enjoy your special day. And this podcast is definitely going to be for you. So definitely watch it. Hopefully this will be a nice diversion from all the stress that's been going on in the world right now. And speaking of stuff that are diversions, we got big news in the sports world. First of all, UFC came back last night, and despite one of its fighters testing positive for coronavirus and being knocked out of the competition, not in the way he was hoping to, and hopefully he makes a speedy recovery, UFC 249 went on as planned, especially for those who were paying for it and decided to go for the pay-per-view stuff. And from what I'm seeing on social media, particularly on Twitter, it looks like it got some positive raves, and everyone was happy about it, and the fact that it was some kind of a diversion, and even Trump sent out a message basically congratulating the UFC for making its return. And I'm not surprised that that was one of the first sports to return. I thought for sure they were going to get canned after one of their fighters tested positive, but to Dana White's credit, they kept it going. I thought this was going to be a lose-lose situation when I heard about that, because he loses either way at that point. He either throws it in the towel, folds on UFC 249, and that's not good for the other leagues. Then they're trying to come back or start their season in the case of Major League Baseball. Or if they kept going, I thought people were going to react and go, why in the world is he still doing this even though one of his fighters got tested positive? Because there's a good chance that it could spread amongst the other fighters. But there wasn't really the negative reviews from what I saw on Twitter. There may be, and I might have missed it, but for the most part, it seemed like it got positive reviews. So I give Dana White a ton of credit for sticking to his guns and keeping UFC going. It's not really a sport that I fancy myself watching anyways, just because of the fact that, it's not really, it's a bunch of guys beating the heck out of each other, and me personally, I just don't like watching that. But, they followed the guidelines. You didn't have any fans. You had social distancing, especially amongst the commentators. So I gave Dana White, even though I don't really like your sport, I still give you 2 thumbs up for putting it together and at least giving those who like UFC something of a diversion. And speaking of other sports that are going to be coming back, NASCAR announced this within the last couple of weeks or so that next weekend we are officially going back racing. Yesterday was the last iRacing event of their Pro Invitational Series, which I mentioned this on Twitter, and I want to give another shout out to Fox, especially Mike Joy, Jeff Gordon, Larry McReynolds, and Clint Boyer especially, all the drivers who participated in iRacing itself, for putting all this together so that way we as fans have some kind of a diversion, and it gives iRacing a chance to show off what they really are. And I hope that allows people who watch this and are really into this stuff, I hope this allows them to start a subscription to iRacing and start to drive, because it's the closest thing you're going to get to actually being on a NASCAR race car, or any kind of race car for that matter. And I think it's really cool that iRacing simulates it so well that it's the closest thing to the real thing. So kudos to everyone, and hats off to everyone for pulling this off so we can at least have a diversion. But it is awesome to see NASCAR come back. And obviously, they're going to be following the same guidelines as the UFC is. They're not going to have fans in the audience, obviously. And they're not going to have that many reporters out there. It's only going to be like one at a time, and they're going to be rotating it around. The latest I heard is that Fox is going to be doing at least 12 races and an all-star race. And after that, we'll see. But it is nice to see them racing again. And it's really going to be really packed. So the next couple of weeks, you're going to get 7 races over the course of an 11-day span. So obviously the purpose of this is to try to make up for the lost time because NASCAR still wants to try to get a full season out there. So you're going to get racing on Sundays and Wednesday on the Cup Series circuit, at least for the next 2 weeks. And Memorial Day is going to be like stocked. Like you're going to have 4 straight days of NASCAR races. So definitely check it out. And hopefully you'll be happy with the quote unquote kind of final product. But again, hats off to NASCAR and iRacing for what they did prior to that. Other big news in NASCAR is that obviously, if you heard, Kyle Larson no longer with Chip Ganassi Racing. He unfortunately said some, well, let's just say they were bad words you shouldn't be saying. And even though he didn't mean to say it, I mean, he did apologize. He's going through rehabilitation of some sort in order to not say words like that ever again. But Chip Ganassi, I think, made the right move of moving on. And so they brought Matt Kenseth out of retirement. And that caught me by surprise. Because I figured when we do go back to racing, I thought Ross Chastain was probably going to replace Kyle Larson in the 42 car. Because we got other news that when we do go back to racing, Ryan Newman is also coming back. For those who have forgotten or don't remember, if you watched the Daytona 500 in the end of that race, Ryan Newman was in a horrific crash that left his car upside down. And, of course, you know that he then miraculously recovered and was walking out of the hospital with his daughters a few days later. Well, he's officially coming back, and he's driving the 6 car. So that is excellent news. And so it's happy to see Ryan Newman back. It's great to see Matt Kenseth back. Though, again, I'm surprised that they didn't go for Ross Chastain. I thought that was for sure going to be the trendy pick to replace Kyle Larson, especially when Ryan Newman came back. Because Chastain did a pretty good job in the 6 car. But they're going to go with Matt Kenseth. And both Ryan Newman and Matt Kenseth are going to be eligible to run for the playoffs should they get wins or should they do well points-wise. And I think that's a good move, not just for the drivers, but for the teams themselves, because Larson at least was driving well. So it's great that the team's still going to get rewarded and make the playoffs. And it's awesome that Ryan Newman is going to make the playoffs if he's able to qualify for it and make the playoffs that way. And I think that's the right move. I mean, they did that with Tony Stewart and Kyle Busch when they got hurt. So it makes perfect sense for Ryan Newman to qualify for the playoffs as well. So definitely check it out. Darlington is going to be the first race, and then they're going to go to Charlotte Motor Speedway, which is going to be a busy track over that Memorial Day week and the days following it. They did ditch a few racetracks. Chicagoland, Richmond, I believe one of the Richmond races, and the Sonoma race, and correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But that's what I heard are going to be the 3 tracks that are not going to be on the schedule. And again, that makes perfect sense because, I mean, you got to try to work around these states that are trying to come back. And that's another big topic that's been going on right now is that all these states are in some fashion, not completely, but in some fashion, are starting the reopening phase. And the debate's going to rage. And that might rage on for a while. Is it too early? Is it too soon? Especially since none of the states are following the CDC guidelines as far as a trending decline. In fact, some of these states are actually seeing an uptick in case counts, my state included, in Wisconsin. And so that's where the debate lies. Is it too soon? And I think you can make the argument that maybe we've seen enough of it because, again, the economy, the way it's been unfolding, we're purposely shutting down the economy to try to help prevent the spread of coronavirus. But at the same time, you've seen the job reports, you've seen all the unemployment rates that have happened, and that's gotten people anxious to wonder, well, when are we going to get back opening again? When are we going to start opening up our businesses again? Because people need these jobs. And I think it's important that they get these jobs because we need to have a functioning economy. But at the same time, we got to do it safely, too. There's got to be a fine line between reopening the economy but doing it in a safe way. And we can do that. We are a smart nation, and I feel we're going to find a way to get this resolved. So that way, we can continue doing what we're doing And even when this is all said and done, we should not stop thanking the healthcare workers. We should not. We should be appreciating them every day. We shouldn't be doing it just on Nurse Appreciation Week. We shouldn't be doing it for just Mother's Day. We shouldn't be doing it for International Women's Day. We should be celebrating these people every day because you have no idea what these people are going through. They have to work 10-hour shifts every day just to keep us healthy, just to allow us to have some kind of normalcy, even though it's not a full normalcy because of the circumstances we're in. So when you see someone that's a healthcare worker or a first responder, you obviously try to do it as safely as possible, but you thank them because they are putting their lives on the line to keep you healthy, to keep you doing what you're doing best, and to be the best you possible. And that's why I like these donations too, like the All In Foundation. I think it's an awesome campaign to help programs like Feeding for America. Switched at Birth did, for those who don't know, Switched at Birth was the original show that was on EBC Family, which was the name of the channel that Freeform was formerly named for. Last night they did a Zoom reunion, and they had like this website that you could go to in order to raise funds to help the healthcare workers who don't get to enjoy a meal because they're having to put their lives on the line. So this went towards that, and I think that's a great cause there. Shannon Spake, I know, has done an Ironman Foundation, and she and Jamie Little came up with this idea together where if you raise $100, she would speak to you for 10 minutes about anything, and that was a couple of weeks ago. But the purpose of it is to help that Ironman Foundation so that they can help like the healthcare workers and the first responders. So, I mean, props to Shannon Spake for that. This is obviously one of her passions is the Ironman Foundation. She loves to do triathlons, and I mean, she appreciates doing that. And I'm sure you all are very helpful for taking care of that with her. And I want to also give a shout out to the Moms Don't Have Time to Read podcast and the co-founder, or I guess the founder of it, the one that started this all. Dana Jacobson has done a story about her, and she did a follow-up on this yesterday. And it's because of that story is what got me into podcasts and why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm not at the point yet where I'm doing like interviews yet. That may come at a later time, but we'll see. We'll see how this rolls. But again, a shout out to Dana for doing that story. She does a remarkable job, by the way, with all the other CBS This Morning Saturday crew. And they've done a heck of a job working from home, much like everyone else has been working remotely and continuing their shows from the comfort of their homes. And that's the sacrifice that we're making in order to keep the coronavirus case down. So, again, I think this is a day to give thanks to all the moms and especially to all the healthcare workers. And this shouldn't just be for today. This should be every day. This should be every minute, every second of every day. When you see someone, you thank them for what they're doing. Because you never know. You can make that person's day. Because they're making your days better by doing all that and risking their lives. So, thank your mom. Thank your healthcare worker. Thank a first responder. Thank your local law enforcement. Thank them for doing what they're doing. Because without that, we would not even come close to having some kind of normalcy. So, obviously, that's the topic of the podcast today is being thankful. Not just for the sports for coming back and putting this together, but for all the people that are doing what they're doing so that we can try to live normal lives as best as humanly possible. So, get out there, get a chance to say thank you. If you see a foundation where you can make a donation, do it. Every little bit helps because you're helping save people's lives. So definitely thank someone. Definitely go donate. That's the message that I'm giving out there today. And hopefully all you moms enjoy your Mother's Day. And thank you again for watching the Anycast podcast. And we'll see you next time.